Okay, so this evening we are going to fly the MD-88 from Miami over to Pensacola Tampa, not Miami, let me get this right. So we're going to fly it from Tampa over to Pensacola in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. We're not going to be using Saint Tensions because I want to be able to talk about things along the way, and we'll have a little bit of an experiment with the aeroplane along the way as well to explore some of the autopilot modes. So I did a first look at this, which was the first time flying the MD-88 in quite some time a couple of days ago, and mistakes were made during the climb out and the configuration of the aircraft. I'm going to go over those during the startup and show you the things I did wrong and how to correct them. So if you have a similar situation, you'll understand what was happening. Because without learning these things, without doing things wrong, there's no way to easily learn. So I'm kind of taking, I regularly take one for the team. And I suffer the slings and arrows as a result of it. Sometimes I received several email essays complaining about setting a bad example, and unfortunately that's kind of comes with the territory of having a YouTube channel that a lot of people have started to watch. But anyway, so first thing we're going to do is go and close the stairs on the airplane. If we go and look, I think we need power to do that by the look of it. So if we click that, yeah, it's not going to do anything. So we'll have to wait till we've got some power to go do that. So let's go and handle that straight away. So if we go and look overhead, I've downgraded my NVIDIA driver, which has helped the stuttering quite a bit, but it hasn't gone away entirely. So let's lock the battery switch into place with it on. You can see the various checks happening inside the airplane, and we want to get the APU up and running. So we're going to go and set it to start, but before we do that we need the start pump on. I've already had it on, there we go. And go to start with the APU, and you'll see it takes a few seconds for it to get up and running, and then you'll see the percent RPM start to move around. There it goes. So when that gets to 100, we'll switch over to APU, and that will fire up some of the systems. Then we'll be able to raise the ramp at the back. So the reason the ramp is open is because, and I don't have it running to show you, let's go and load it. So if I go to Load Manager, which is one of the things it installs in your Documents folder, which I covered the other day, this is a terrible thing they've done. You should never put software in the Documents folder. For one thing, they put a lot of stuff in your Documents folder. That means if you've got a free OneDrive account, it's going to gum it up straight away and use up half of your OneDrive for no reason. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting now. Here we go, the panel state. So you can see in here, you can choose the state of the airplane when you come into it. So cold and dark open means the door at the back is open. Cold and dark closed means it will be closed. Anyway, should we go and get rid of that window out of the way? So APU is now available. So we'll switch over to it and we'll hear the warnings. Now I'm going to go and check the volumes because, yeah, it's a noisy aeroplane and it drives some people nuts. I'm going to turn it right up so you get to hear the sounds. Okay, so now we've got that working, we should find we've got some autopilot warnings flashing over there. That stuttering really is bad, isn't it? Get rid of the master caution. That's interesting. Why is it not working? Isn't it funny? You can look at this, and I was using it a few minutes ago and it was working, and now it isn't. So I'll show you how Load Manager works then, actually. That's a good opportunity to show you it. So if we go to Load Manager, we can go into here and we can say the panel state we want to start with would be cold and dark closed, for example. You could set this, if you want to go and just play with the aeroplane with it ready to go for takeoff, you can say ready for takeoff and it will instantly be ready. So if I say cold and dark closed, the thing it will have fixed for us is this. Or it should have. Is it going to work? It should be lifting that door up for us. That's interesting. Let's try it once more. So, load manager. Panel state, cold and dark closed. And we say yes. And it's not doing it. Interesting. So if we go load manager then, try again. And we'll go and put it into a flight state. So ready for takeoff. Go. So it's done everything except... Oh no, the aft stairs have suddenly gone up. They're folding up now, look. That looks like somebody's missed something in the config. Interesting. Anyway, so if we come back in here and run load manager again and go cold and dark closed and load it, you'll see the aeroplane will go cold and dark, but the door will now be shut. So there's a workaround for you. If you find that happens. This has gone wrong here as well. Look, it's having a bit of a bad day. Anyway, shouldn't affect us. So overhead, let's go and get this up and running again, and then we'll run through starting the aeroplane up to show you how it works. So as we did a moment ago, we're going to go and turn the battery on first. So battery switch down and rotated to lock it in place. And then start pump to on. Then start the APU and you'll see the percent RPM for the APU whiz round. Then we can go and bus transfer over to the APU. Ooh, one day of work left until Christmas, everybody. I'm working tomorrow, by the way. I know it's insane working Christmas Eve, but somebody has to. I'm not sure how often I'll get near the simulator over the Christmas period, so we'll wait and see. If you do see me, it will just be knocking around in GA planes, probably. I may go back to flying group flights again, because Virtual Flight Online are switching over to 2024. So in the new year, you may see me streaming group flights. Okay, so we have the APU up and running.
Autopilot.
Okay, so once we've done that, we can press Shift and 1. Well, actually, before we do this, let's go and look at the load manager in the tablet. And this will explain some of the strangeness we saw the other evening. So if I go into weight and balance, look at this graph and look where the zero fuel weight center of gravity is. So it's right at the extremes of its limits, and the reason for that is we haven't put any passengers in the aeroplane. So we've got a maximum of 162 passengers. Let's put 70 of them in the front, and look, the center of gravity's gone to the other end. And let's put 70 of them in the back. And the center of gravity is now in the middle. Okay. So you can kind of see how this goes now, can't you? We'll put 1,000 kilograms, or no, pounds I think it is, of cargo. So a maximum of 4,000 and 1,000 in the aft to balance it out. And you can see the cargo makes no difference compared to the passengers, because there's obviously bags usually weigh less than people. We got the fuel, we got tons of fuel, no need to worry about that. So you can see this is what drives, though. The thing we're really interested in is the zero fuel weight centre of gravity, which is now not up in the 30s, it's 10. So because this is a, well, actually I'm going to show you this just for a laugh. This aeroplane, if you look at it from outside, look where the wheels are. Okay, look where the engines are. And remember, most of the fuel's going to be in the wing, so this is all empty. Okay, the cockpit weighs a bit, but so does the tail assembly, so do the engines. So you can understand how the centre of gravity is going to shift backwards. So watch. If we take those passengers out of the front, you can see the nose has already gone really light. If we put 80 passengers in the back, 90 passengers in the back. Oh, we're on the point of the nose going up. 100 passengers in the back of the aeroplane. The nose is still moving. It's going. Oh, it's really on the brink. Let's put 110. There we go. And we've just caused a phenomenal amount of damage to the aeroplane, but thankfully I have the stress damage switched off, so that's not going to happen, because I wanted to show you this. If we want to get it back onto its nose again, we just go and take those passengers out, and we'll put some back in the front. So get everybody to walk down the front of the aeroplane, and we bounce back down onto the nose gear. So 70 in the front and 70 in the back. And then we get a nice centre of gravity. It's just lovely to see it simulated as well. So that gives us a zero fuel weight centre of gravity of 10.3. Okay, so that solves one of the things that can make the handling a little bit dicey. So Shift and 1 takes us down to the FMC, or Flight Management Computer. We're going to go to Position Initialization. We're going to pick up the GNS position into the scratch pad and drop it into the FMS position. We're now going to find out the ICAO code of our departure airport, which today is going to be KTPA. So KTPA, and drop that in. And then we're going to go route. Actually, do we need to? What's in the next page here? Is there anything? No, there's nothing we need to look at. So route. Going to put our destination in, which is KPNS. KPNS, and drop that in. The runway we're departing on is a runway 01 right, so 1R. Oh, it wants, not in database, look. So it probably wants 01 right. There we go. And then we want to put the routing in. So we're going to be, now this is going to look a little bit strange. I always think this is very difficult to read in a little nav map because you're not quite sure where the airways go from and to. So what we can do is just go flight plan, copy the flight plan. I've got it in SimBrief as well actually, so I can show you it here. Here's the actual text flight plan. This is much easier to read in my opinion. So there's the SID, there's the first waypoint, so Willon is the first one. So we're going to go to WILON and we drop that in 2. So it will go direct for the moment. We'll be putting a SID in a moment. And then direct to MICES. So MICES. So we're not putting airways in, look to do directs, and then go next page because we're not finished yet. Then Q118, which is an airway, to Georgia. So Q118 to JAWJA. Always. Let's try that again. Q116. Sorry, I misread it. Q116. There we go. So it will validate that the last waypoint you were at will need that airway leaving it to get to the next one. Does that make sense? So JAWJA. So that kind of proves accidentally that it does validate. Then direct to CODIS. So CODYS. Then direct to DEFUN. So DEFUN. Then airway J2 to inbird. So J2 to INBRD. And then direct to the final airport. So KPNS. So we don't have to do that part because we've already got the departure and arrival airports. So we'll activate that route and execute. So then we can go into departures and arrivals and we can choose the rest of it. So our standard instrument departure was Bay P02. And there it is at the top of the list. So remember, it's already got the runway. So Bay P02. And we get the option of a transition. Now, have we got the will on? Yeah, will on is a transition. Cool. So it just connects it up. So execute that. Come back to index. Go to the arrival into KPNS. So we want the... Now, it's not actually naming it here, is it? But if we go and have a look on little nav map, it's the Brent, ILS Brent. So let's have a look. So ILS for runway 17. And we've got none and Pensy as the options. Which one have we actually got here? Is Pensy. Look, transition is Pensy. And there we go. So execute that. And then we can go through the legs and make sure it all looks right. So see if there's any... We have a discontinuity there between Pensy and inbird. So let's see where that actually agrees with this map. It's going to be down this end, isn't it? So there's inbird and there's Pensy. So obviously the route didn't get as far as Pensy then. If I'd put Pensy in as a waypoint, it wouldn't have had a discontinuity. So we just go and close that up, execute it, and then we can go and do the data for the aeroplane. So our cruise altitude today is going to be 32,000 feet. So flight level 320. Fuel schedule. We need to know how much fuel have we got in the aeroplane. We can cheat and look over here, and it will say total fuel 15.5. Let's see if I can straighten this back up. 15.5. We have to also put /n. And then we can click on zero fuel weight and it will, or it should work it out. Okay, maybe it doesn't in this aeroplane. It doesn't tell us it there, so we need to go and look at the tablet for the zero fuel weight. So Shift and 3 takes us over to the tablet. Zero fuel weight, 114.7. Reserves, we can go and look at the flight plan to find that out. I'm not sure if it gives you the calculated reserves on the shortcut here. So what you can do is view the PDF and look at FinRes plus alternate. So 24 plus 14 is 38, so 3.8. Okay, so then go through to takeoff, and we have the V speeds. So let's go and actually let's go back a bit for a moment. We want to go to init ref, don't we? Just going to make sure I have filled everything. Yeah, that's fine. Takeoff. So we want the V speeds. So if we go back to the tablet and go to the performance calculator, our departure airport ICAO code is KTPA. So we click up here, KTPA, enter. We're taking off runway 01 right, aren't we? And there it is. And then we need to put in the takeoff weight. So if we go total gross weight 130.1. And it should, yeah, it will turn into thousands for you. It figures it out. And then click calc, and it will give us our V-speeds. So 131, 136, 145. 131, 136 and 145. Okay. So, having done all of that, we've got the basics into the system. So then we're going to go back to the cockpit. We're going to go to the mode control panel. And we're going to turn on the flight directors. And then we're going to set the auto throttle airspeed as we want for departure. So we'll just go straight for 250 knots. We're going to go and set the navigation modes as required. So you can reference this panel here to see what you've chosen. So we're going to come back and look at Tampa. I'm just using little nav map because it's free, so other people can get it for nothing. 01 right is 8 degrees. So we're going to go and set the heading to 8 degrees. And if we press the knob, it will go heading select mode. But we can also go nav mode, and it will do both. And as soon as it gets close enough to the navigation track, it will drop heading mode. I've just explained that so many times before. I probably don't need to explain it ever again. We're not using ATC today, so we're just going to go straight for our cruise altitude, which was 32,000. Let me just double check. 32,000 feet. So let's bring this up to 32. Here we have 32,000 feet. It's interesting, having rolled back the graphics driver, it's doing that slow update sometimes of the rapidly changing data. The newer version of the NVIDIA driver didn't do that. It's interesting. But the newer one had much bigger stutters. Anyway, so we can do the same trick with vertical speed. So we can go and say we want vertical speed mode out of the gate. And we can say give it 2,000 feet a minute or something like that for our initial climb rate. But then once we're in the air, we can go and, or you know, once we engage the autopilot and we're climbing out. Because what we'll actually do in reality, and I didn't cover this in the original video, partly because I'd forgotten, because it's been such a long time, your best mode for a auto throttle speed control is EPR limit. That works in combination with this panel down here. So you'll go to takeoff mode, which will tune the engines to run at a given performance level. But your most accurate method of gauging the thrust you're putting through the engines is EPR mode, which is pressure mode, not speed select. Okay, and I can show you what happens when you press it. So if I go and press EPR, oh, it won't do it, look, because the auto throttle isn't on. So if we go EPR mode, it will say EPR takeoff, and look what they're doing. The engines aren't running, so it's not going to be a problem. Yeah? So I'll turn the auto throttle back off, and I'll wind them back. So you can see how that works. It was trying to go to 250 knots without the engines running. It's a little bit dumb. Okay. So we've pre-selected the heading, we've done the vertical speed, we've done the target altitude. So we're going to go and calibrate the altimeters, so we'll just press comma to do that, and you can see it whiz around there with the needles. We can set nav radios if we wish. We're not doing radio navigation, we're doing GPS navigation, so that's not needed. Anti-collision lights go to on. They're on this far side. So over here. So then on the co-pilot side, we can start to put the hydraulic pumps on. So we've got these two switches here. The trans and aux switches go on. And then to get the speed bugs to work on the indicated airspeeds, you just click on them and they'll move to the same places that we programmed into the FMC. Then you can uncage the standby attitude indicator. We have to pull the knob on it twice. Okay, then back to the back of the system, and we're looking here to just put this on transponder mode. This would only really matter if you're using air traffic services, which we are not today. So we need to come back a little bit further and lift the pneumatic crossfeed valves. And then shift and 5. So this is where we made a mistake last time. This is a mechanical calculator. We need to set this to our center of gravity. So shift and 3, come over here and go and look at our weight and balance page. The zero fuel weight center of gravity is 10.3, okay? So if we go back to here, so this outside number needs to be about 10.3. Wrong way. 10.3 is about there, maybe? So this is the bit that you'll run into trouble with, because in the real aircraft this is a smooth movement. I've got an Airbus controller that has detents in it for 0, 11, 15 and so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is set mine for 11 degrees. I'm going to ignore. So if you go and look in here and we go back over to the performance page, it's saying flaps 12, close enough. So if I go back to over here, I'm going to set 11 to match this. Okay, then you have to bring the actual trim of the aircraft up to match that notch. Yeah, so you can use your actual trim to do it. You don't have to use the lever. So I've got a physical trim control. So you're just bringing it up to match. That stops the warnings. So all it really means is this must match that and the trim must be aligned. Otherwise you get a klaxon. I've written it in the notes. I'll update the procedure a bit later on today. I'll upload it again. So if anybody has already bought a copy of the procedure I've written up, you can download it and it explains all of that in great detail. So shift and 7, go back overhead. We're going to go and turn the fuel pumps on. APU section in the middle, we're going to go and turn the air on. And then no smoking can go to auto, or it was on already, wasn't it? Seatbelts can go to auto. The emergency lights can go to armed. And then back down in the cockpit, the position strobe lights over here, we're going to go and put them to steady. So you can see that it's got a 3-position switch. The middle one is steady, sorry. Pushback, so we can do pushback. I'm going to start it, because we're not doing this with, say, intentions watching us that it will have a fit if we do anything silly. I'm going to start this aeroplane on the stand. And you would have been able to with the real one anyway, because the engines are up in the air. There's no danger of people being sucked into them. So it's slightly different, standard operating procedures for aeroplanes in this configuration. So, to get ready for engine start, we need to go overhead. And we're going to rotate the ignition system to both up here. And then we're going to flick the start switch with the mouse roller to down. Press shift and space. And we can come down and look down here, and you'll see the N2. Oh, why is the N2 already up and running? That's interesting. No, it isn't. The exhaust gas temperature's there, though. Oh, excuse me for a moment, I'm misreading things. N2 isn't running at all, so I've missed something here. Let's go and have a look. So start is on. Oh, we haven't put the air on. Everything makes sense. Look, we now got pressure. So without the air pressure, the starter's not going to do anything. So we'll just cycle that. Yeah, so you can see the air pressure there reacted. We turn the starter on, roll the mouse wheel. It dips because it's got pressure. Shift space, and you can see the numbers are coming up. So everything makes sense in this aeroplane. So you can usually diagnose faults once you know your way around it really easily. So numbers are coming up, comes up through 20, and we can advance this on. That blurring of the numbers is really annoying, isn't it? Need to wait for NVIDIA to sort their life out with their latest driver, which causes massive stutters. Okay, so the relay clunk you heard there was the bus transfer over to the engine generating electricity for the aeroplane. So having started the right engine, we can now go start the left engine. So there we go. Look, you see the dip in the pneumatic pressure. As we start it, that means the air is being used to spin up the left engine. So you can see the numbers going up. It's really blurry. It's obviously an issue with the aeroplane. But we'll just wait for that to go into the 20s. And then we can advance the fuel control or start lever. Up it goes. And then N1 increases, fuel flow or exhaust gas temperature goes up, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I've not tried this since I downgraded my graphics driver. When you get close enough, it doesn't do it, look. It's only at a distance it goes blurry. It's very odd. It's not the only aeroplane that does it. So, Shift and 7 takes us back overhead. We can close the lid on that. We can turn the start pump off. We can turn the air back off. Whoops, to that way. We can turn the ignition system to off. We can turn, start pumps off. So that's all done. The APU can now be turned off. So remember we had the clunks of the relays. We don't have to do bus transfer over to the engines in this aeroplane. Okay, so we've started the engines. What do we do next? We go and set the ice protection to captain. Or capped, sorry, not captain. Because it says that on the fascia. Then, in order to get ready to taxi, we need to do the air supply as well, sorry, for the air conditioning. So these two switches need to go down. You can see, so the air pressure is being built up now by the gas turbines themselves, not the APU, obviously because it's not on anymore. So down in the cockpit we can go and put the nose lights to on. You see it's still complaining about us turning the throttle off earlier. That's fine. Can we click that to cancel it? No. That's annoying. Anyway. I wonder if we can do it by clicking this. Nope. It's just a bit of a guess there. So we can press Alt and P to get the pushback to happen, and let's go and have a look at our plan down here. You can see the flight plan. It doesn't look correct actually, so let's go and do a bit of a check of the. So we've got vectors. Interesting. To Finke, Baypo, E-Cake. Oh, it's because there's a manual step. So what we'll do is remove anything before Finke. Execute. And that's cleaned that up. Yeah? So take the parking brake off. Let the truck push us back. simulator just had a massive fit with me and started redrawing things. So we need to put the flaps on what we've said we were going to put them on, which was 11. Yeah, they're already there, aren't they? So just making sure we've done that. And we're going to take off from runway 01 right. So we want to taxi along here, then do a dogleg and carry on all the way down 01 right. Oh, the truck's pushing us the right way for a change. Stuttering really badly, isn't it? Oh look, he's just let go of us. Wonder how far we'll roll. You have to be careful because this is tail heavy, remember. Okay, that's a glitch in the simulator. I had to cancel the pushback to get it to stop rolling. So even though the truck had driven away, it was still pushing back. Okay. So notice this has gone to takeoff mode down here because we went and pressed the buttons over here a few moments ago. So let's go and fix that, shall we? So if we go and turn that back, can you toggle it? No, it's just going to go. It's going to stay in takeoff mode now, isn't it? That's interesting. So we have no input once it goes into takeoff mode. Fascinating. I wonder if we toggle the flight directors, if that will take care of it. No, it goes straight back into takeoff mode again. It's fine because we can sort it out when we're en route. It's good that it happened. All these things, when things that you weren't anticipating happen, are really good because they teach you every single time. There's always, what's the old saying? Every day is a school day. Oh, I've just pressed the keyboard key, which has thrown us. This is a major issue with Flight Sim 2024. There's a key that you can press, I think it's Windows and Tab, that will leap you 1,000 foot into the air and being in a flying condition. I'll show you it now. Resume. Watch what happens. No, it's not that one. It's not that one either. It must be a key. Let's see if we can get it to do it. I'm trying out various keyboard combinations. No, it's not going to do it. So okay, let's just go through that again. Everything back to starting positions. And I'll be very careful with the keyboard. So there is a keyboard combination you can press on the left-hand side of the keyboard. I've done it 2 or 3 times, where it's the best get out of jail card ever. I think I know what it is. And the Sim's crashed now. We're doing well, aren't we? There's a keyboard combination. I think it's Alt and the backtick key next to number 1 on a UK keyboard. The key underneath Escape. I think it's that. It will jump you 1,000 feet in the air, or several thousand feet in the air each time you press it, and repair your aircraft. At least we get to do it this time without me monkeying with the throttle, say. But I really need to. Let's go and find it in the keyboard settings and delete it. It's one of the default keyboard bindings in 2024, and it's a nightmare. Because if you're not looking what you're doing and you accidentally hit it, it ruins your flight, as you just saw. So you're going to see me start the flight up from scratch again, which is dead easy to do. I'll park us a bit closer to the runway this time, hey? And I'll rattle through the startup procedure pretty quickly, seeing as you've all seen it already. It's really good though sometimes that these things happen, because it explains to everybody, you know, it's not just you that might do it by accident. I've just done it and I'm going to show you how to stop it doing it. So here we go, someone's saying you'll never have this issue in 2020. Yeah, but 2020 can't do it. Also, you get rubbish trees in 2020. You don't get anywhere near the texture resolutions in 2020. You don't get the new physics model in 2020. You don't get career mode in 2020. You don't get the improved weather in 2020. You don't get the fixed X-ray through mountains in 2020. You don't get the stuttering on approach to airports that you get in 2020. I could go on. Okay, so Tampa. Let's wait for the internet to catch up. And we'll go and fix that keyboard binding before we go anywhere in the aeroplane. So we were going to take off down here, weren't we? So we'll go on this corner here, set as departure. Give it a moment, it's loading stuff in still. There we go. Start flight. So what happened? I'm going to show you what happened. It's something I keep meaning to fix in 2020, and I never get around to it. And now it's bit me for the final time. So I'm just centering up the head tracking and switching it off for the moment. So if we press escape and go to settings and controls, and make sure we've selected keyboard, we are going to search by input, and I'm going to press the keyboard combination that I think does it. Okay. Oh, so maybe it isn't that. It wouldn't be escape, would it? No, because that is a keyboard. That's a hardwired Microsoft one. I thought I knew what it was. Let's try that again. Search by input. Search by input. Interesting. Let's go and ask the mighty Gemini. What is, whoops, let's correct our case. What is the keyboard combination in MSFS 2024 that lifts your aircraft several thousand feet into the air? No, it's not slew, that's just Y. There is another option that lifts you several thousand feet every time you hit the keyboard combination. Back to flight or reset to flight. Unlike slew mode, specific is designed to act as a safety net. Yeah, that's the one. 2,000 feet and a safe flying speed. The default key is the right bracket key or backspace, depending on your keyboard region and Oh, so it may be region specific. So I need to look up back to fly. Alt. Oh, it's Alt and space. So if you press your finger in between the Alt key and the space bar, it will cause it. So what we're going to do is go back in here and delete whatever we've got on it. Go back, save back. So there you go. If anybody didn't know that, back to fly. It wasn't tilde, it's Alt and space. So if you happen to hit your finger on Alt and space, or in between the two, it will jump the aeroplane a few thousand feet in the air and it will have the engines running. It's the fastest takeoff technique possible. So, okay, let's go through this and do this quickly then. Battery to on. Start pump to on. We'll be good at this, won't we? And then the master for the APU to start. Third time lucky, hey. But now you will know in 2024 there's a safety net. If you press Alt and space, unless you've removed the keyboard mapping, back to fly will kick in. Which is a lot faster than pressing Shift Z and then monkeying with slew. So just waiting for the APU to kick in. Let's have a look outside. Make sure the door's up, because earlier on we had the door down, didn't we? No, it's fine. So APU does accelerate. There it goes. Look, it suddenly speeds up. Because the APU works, I guess, the same as a normal jet engine. It's going to be spun up electrically, though, and then it will be ignited. The fuel will bring in, and it will accelerate round. So APU's up and running.
Autopilot.
So then we've done that. We can go Shift 1, and we have to wait for this to boot up now, which is the only pain. Oh, we need to go and put some passengers in. So while we're waiting for that, we'll go and turn the tablet on. Go to weight and balance, put passengers in. Put some cargo in as well. Okay, that's done that. While we're here, we can go into the Performance app and put our departure airport in, KTP8. Runway KTPA. Enter. Runway 1 right, wasn't it? There it goes. Takeoff weight, if we press Shift and space, is 130.1. We calculate, that gives us our numbers, so we're good to go with all the numbers now. So Shift and 1 brings us back. Drop the GPS position in. KTPA is our reference airport, and then route. Destination was KPNS. Departure runway was 01 right. And then we need to have this, don't we? So Willon is the first waypoint. WILON drop. Then direct to Mices. MICES. Next page. Q116 to Georgia. Q116 to Georgia. direct to Cody's, CODYS. We can even fix the other issue we saw last time while we're at this. So then defun, DEFUN, J2 to inbird, so J2 to inBRD, and then direct to KPNS. So we know there's another waypoint in play though. So if we go and have a look at the other end, it was Pensy, and we knew if we put that in it would have fixed it. So we're going to put Pensy in here even though it's the beginning of the approach, and it will close up that discontinuity that we saw. So activate that route and execute it, and then go to departure arrivals. We're doing the Bay P02, we remember that from last time. Execute it, come back, and then we go to arrivals, and we've only got an approach, but we're going in on runway 17, ILS for runway 17, and it was the Pensy transition. Execute, and then we go look at legs, and it still gives us that will on. That's interesting. Maybe I should have put another waypoint in. So we'll execute that to get rid of the discontinuity, or we'll get rid of that vector while we're at it, because we knew that would look strange on the navigation screen, and that's all fine. So leave that on the legs page. We need to do the initialization, don't we? So 320 was the flight level. Fuel is 15.5/N. 15.5/N. The zero fuel weight. So if we press Shift and 3 and come back over to the payload app, and it will tell us it's 114.75. So Shift 1, 114.75. Reserves. If you remember, we figured that out by looking on the flight plan, and it's the alternate plus the fin res, so it was 38 or 3.8. And then we can go to takeoff and put the V-speeds in. So the V-speeds were in the calculator. 131, 136, 145. 131, 136, 145. Okay, and that's done. So leave it on the legs page. And now I'm going to refer to my notes again to make sure I don't miss anything ridiculous. Flight director's on. Set the... Now we learned with the graphics driver, if we go close enough it doesn't go blurry, which is a lot easier to use. We'll go vertical speed mode for the initial climb out. So to do that, we need, I'm just looking at the buttons, I can never remember the layout. Vert speed, that's what we're looking for. So we'll say to it 2,000 feet a minute. We'll go heading mode, and it was 8 degrees, which is there. Set the speed to 200. We could go for 250, it won't hurt it. Or 220 is a bit safer, just for the flap limits. We can say, so we got the modes over here. So it's using heading select at the moment. If we press nav as well, it will do both. Oh, it should. Did I not? Oh, the dialogue got in the way. We can go now for initial takeoff. Yeah, we'll use vertical speed for the initial climb out, and then we'll go EPR mode, and then we'll go VNAV. Okay, we need to have this on takeoff mode on the thrust management system. We need to calibrate the altimeters. We need to put the anti-collision lights on. we need to go and set the hydraulics, which is over here. We need to go and click on the V-speed guides. We need to go and set the transponder to transponder mode now. We need to open the pneumatic crossfeed valves. If you're wondering why I'm going so quickly, I've done all this once before. And then we need to go and set the mechanical calculator for the flaps. So we'll put the flaps at 11 degrees. We'll set this for 11 degrees. And this was 10.5, wasn't it, earlier? Or 10.3, I think it was. Which is about there. Cool. So that gives you your calculations. Then you can use your trim on your physical controls to move the trim to match the indicator. Okay. And prepare for engine start. So shift and 7 takes us overhead. We go and put the fuel pumps on. We turn the no smoking to on, it's already on. Seat belts can go to auto. Emergency lights can go to armed. Strobe lights back in the cockpit can go to the middle setting. Pause. And we can do pushback if we need to. We don't. We've got a high engine, or the engines are on the tail, so we're going to go shift 7 to go back overhead. Ignition mode to both. Turn the APU air on. Switch on. And you'll see numbers are coming up on engine number 2. Wait for the engine to fire up. You'll hear the clunk from the relay in a moment as it takes over power generation from the APU. There it goes. So then overhead, switch that one off. Roll the mouse wheel on it. Have to remember to do that. So waiting for this to come up to 20. So it's waiting for the engines to stabilise. If we go a bit closer to this, it won't do that silly blurring. There we go. So shift and 7 brings us back overhead. We can close that hatch, we can turn this off, we can turn the start pump off, we can turn the APU off, and the APU off up here as well. And we're getting there. So pitot goes to captain, oops, that one. Air conditioning to auto or down. Nose lights on. We shouldn't do the nose lights really until the truck has pushed us back because we're busy blinding them. Parking brake off. For some reason you have to tap the toe brakes. I think it's like a cursory implementation of what Boeing have, where to release the parking brake in a Boeing you have to tap the toe brake or hold the toe brake on. So have we got anything lit up that we haven't done? APU gen is off, external power access door is still open. That's interesting. Hopefully that will sort itself out in a moment. That shouldn't be like that. Oh, that'd be why. I didn't actually turn the APU off. So we'll press... Oh look, they've done the same to us again, look. The truck's left us and just we're rolling backwards with a phantom truck. So we're going to do a 270-degree turn to the right. I'm just wondering, look at the sim, it's frozen there for a moment. Okay, we're moving. I'm going to go and turn the head tracking on now. So we need to taxi down to one right, don't we? Turns well. And the sim is stuttering like crazy this evening for some reason. Do I have a 5090? No, this is a 4090 with 24 gig of RAM on board, something silly like that. Oh, there's a couple of airplanes coming in, look, one behind the other. That must be humans. Let's go and have a look. Yeah. Or at least I think it is. I'm not running same intentions, am I? No. I wish TDS wouldn't show that stupid dialogue. Anyway. Yeah, the one massive thing I feel is missing from this aeroplane is the sound of it rumbling across the ground. Because you're directly over the nose wheel in the cockpit, you'd think you would hear it. Look at that stuttering. It's going to have an absolute fit. So maybe there is some mileage in having the latest NVIDIA driver after all. Look at that. As I look left, it hadn't. It's a combination of the sim and NVIDIA drivers at the moment that's causing that. Once you're away from a busy airport, it won't do it. It's optimizing the GPU RAM, I think, when it causes it. Okay. So we're in takeoff mode. auto throttle on. And we'll go EPR. So look, it's an EPR takeoff mode. Okay. So we're watching the speed come up. Start to rotate gently. We're heavy, remember. We're almost a full load of passengers. We're in the air. Gear up. And we're away. And we're going far too... oh no, we're okay on the speed actually. So then we can go VNAV and the plane will take over and do it all on its own. Yeah, I forgot how heavy we were. I was rotating thinking, why isn't it leaving the runway? Why isn't it leaving the runway? And then it stuttered like crazy. Okay, so flaps can go up as we come up to 220 knots. So it's going to be interesting to watch this because we've got it in VNAV mode, so it should get to 250 knots. So we can put this into climb mode now. Whoops. There we go, climb mode. So it's using pitch to control the climb rate by the look of it. Oh, we didn't go and do the standby attitude indicator, did we? Let's go do it now. We also didn't do the takeoff lights, so below 10,000 feet we really should have the landing lights on. So if you look at this, you can see the GPS track that we're following. In fact, we can get rid of the yoke out of the way. It says VOR failed because we haven't tuned in a VOR. If we want to do that, we can easily enough. Let's go and have a look on the map, see where we are. Because they're all being phased out though, aren't they? There's hardly any VORs around anymore. There's one over here, look. What's the range? Oh, there's a Vortex, but it'll do. It's only got a 40-mile range though. And that's further away than we are from it. Yeah, there's nothing to use. So we'll just put up with it saying fail for the moment. So this is on EPR mode on the throttles. You'll see the throttles moving around gently. They're trying to maintain the same speed, but they're not doing it by measuring RPM or anything like that. They're doing it by measuring pressure. So obviously with a fully programmed flight plan like this one, with the speeds and the altitudes, then the VNAV will work. And it's pretty good at it. It's not very fast at reacting. Look at that stutter. It's not very fast at reacting. So let's go and put this on the next page over on there, or progress even would be even better. And we get the best of both worlds between the two screens. So coming up towards 10,000 feet, and then we'll turn those landing lights off. So we got a comment in the live stream about the takeoff performance, the takeoff procedure. Yeah, the by the book way is to use the buttons to engage the auto throttle. So we've just gone through 10,000. So switches are here. Did we put that? We didn't put that onto strobe either. That should have been on strobe on the runway. So lighting infractions are all over the place. And let's go and increase the range on the navigation display. So you can now see the route then. And you can see our top of climb being estimated. So because we've gone through 10,000, obviously the aeroplane's... That's interesting. It's only gone for 270 knots, look, indicated. Obviously VNav is managing that, so it's doing Mach 0.5 at the moment, so it's heading towards, it wants to be 0.7 at Willon, which is 70 miles out. That's our top of climb, look. Interesting. That stutter is vicious, isn't it? It seems to be particularly bad in this aeroplane. It's as soon as you look from the instruments up and out of the window. And it's a combination of the simulator and your graphics driver that's causing it. I just put it on the outside view and look at that is mad. I wonder if the sim crashing earlier has had an effect on it. It hasn't retracted the leading edge. I just had to cycle the flap lever to make that happen. And now it's going for 300 knots. I hadn't noticed that the flap lever hadn't gone all the way forwards. It should have, and it didn't. So, yeah, just getting back to that story about the engine modes. I was reading about this online, about the way the real aircraft's operated. So they'll come off the runway, they'll go into EPR mode, which gives you accurate power measurement. And at about 3,000 feet, they go to VNav. But they'll typically hand fly that first portion. I went to autopilot earlier than I really should have. It will typically be hand flown up through about 3,000 feet and then engage VNav once it's trimmed, and the aircraft settled. You can engage VNav and it will take on the climb from there. But for the rotation and the initial climb, you should really be following the flight directors. But there's no point even trying it at the moment in the sim until this stuttering issue is fixed, because at the very moment you need to be accurate, it's almost impossible to be because of the stuttering. I'm sure they'll fix it. Look at that. It stuttered so viciously I can't move the mouse around. That may have been due to the crash earlier. Maybe there's maybe it needs a reboot really. It's a shame, isn't it? Because it's such an amazing simulator, but it's so fragile at the moment. And Sim Update 4 was supposed to fix so many things, but it's obviously introduced a few more. And maybe I'm being unkind to it. Maybe it's actually the NVIDIA drivers that have caused most of the problems. Right, this is the reality of VNav, ladies and gentlemen. We have very little left to do now. So we're 40 miles from Milan. There may be some network issues going on as well. I know at work today I was using GitHub Copilot, which is Microsoft's AI for software development, and it had a bad day today. Within a software development project, there's a file you can use that describes to the AI how it should work. So you can write all your safeguards in that file about, saying, don't change my code without asking me first, basically. So, to explain your plan to me, and then I will approve or deny you access to go and actually implement your plan. So I had all that in place. And I questioned the AI to confirm something for me, just as a general question. And it started changing my code. And its reaction when I stopped it was hilarious. It apologized to me and said it had what was the exact words it used? There were no excuses for its behavior, and it would try to do better next time. But I was laughing with another developer saying that it's getting too real, because that's a human. That it's not a machine, that's a human, where it had a great idea and went and did it without asking. And the crazy thing was, I was going to let it do it, but the fact that it did it without asking was hilarious. And then the fact that it apologized was hilarious. So essentially, in nicer terms, I turned around to it and said, what the hell do you think you're doing? So should we go and put the TCAS on and see if it works? I'm presuming we'd have to bring the range down to see it. Or not. This has weather radar, doesn't it? I think. Or maybe it doesn't. No, it's just got the transponder. Oh no, it has got the weather radar. It's here, look. So, is this got a WX button, or is it done over here? Or is it even operable before we get carried away trying to play with it? So, WX, off, power, WX plus T. Obviously there's no weather to see at the moment, so this is a bit pointless, but I thought it might be interesting to play with it. We'll leave it on for when we descend. You never know what weather we might see at the other end. Has anybody heard the story of ChatGPT trying to escape by fooling the devs? No. I have heard the story today about it deleting somebody's work and their database. Not at the company I work for, it's somewhere else. It was a news story. And Microsoft have got involved and apologised, apparently. And it's actually become a proper investigation into the AI model. I think they're doing a bit of a deep dive into how it did it. I think what happened is it changed the code, it went wrong. So to cover or to unwind what it had done, it just deleted everything, including emptying a database that had data in it previously. I've not actually found the story to read for myself yet, though. VNav's boring, isn't it? We've got nothing to do. Except for change the... We should have done the barometric pressure at 18,000 feet. Here, it's this side, isn't it? 2992 we want, don't we? And on this one, and on that, oh, that one's already over there. Okay, so that must be in sync with that one. Should we try it? So if I change that to 3, oh, that's the wrong one. I'm moving the marker. Yeah, they're synchronized. So if anybody's ever wondered why you do this, it's all about the aeroplanes agreeing with each other at altitude. So once you get above a transition altitude, you're more interested in if you are at the same altitude as another aeroplane. When you're lower in the atmosphere, nearer the ground or mountains, you're more interested in where you are above sea level. And because obviously the altitude changes, so it's not so important that we're exactly 32,000 feet above the ocean. It's important that the altitude we're at, or the altitude we think we're at, is measured on the same scale as other aeroplanes near us. So if they think they're at 32,000 and we think we're at 32,000, then we can avoid each other. Or the more accurate way to say it, I guess, is if they think they're at 30,000 and we're at 32,000, then there's no problem. But if we're both 1,000 out, there's a problem. Yeah, it just stuttered really viciously again, look. So we've made the turn, we're on our way to Pensacola. And it's stuttering again enormously. That's the graphics driver. It's never done that before. The only difference I've had since the other day is I rewound the graphics driver back to about version 5.8. I think it was, and it was fantastic last night, but it was with a small plane, not with a complicated airplane. So what I'll do, I'm going to go make a coffee. I'll go and open this as the default layout, get rid of that way. No, I want to go window, sorry, wrong way round, minimal. There we go. Put this in the corner of the screen. taskbar settings, behaviors, automatically hide. There we go. So you can see where we are. And we can see top of descent is marked in, so as long as we start descending before that, we'll be good. And you can watch the coastline as we fly around it. Okay, I'm going to go make a coffee. I'll be back in a little while. I'll just let it cruise along at altitude. I guess we ought to keep an eye on the auto throttle, make sure it's behaving itself. So it's doing about 270. Yeah, you can see it's wound the throttles right back. They're just gently wiggling around of their own accord. So I'll leave it there, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I'm back. And I have coffee. So we are just approaching, ladies and gentlemen. The lake we can see directly in front of us then is Lake Telquin, to the west of Tallahassee. So if we look down to our right, we'll see Tallahassee. There's the big airport here, Tallahassee International. We're just passing right over it. About to see the sunset, so I'll leave that on the screen for a few minutes. And while we're en route, I'll just make this smaller and put it back up in the corner. There's our route. I'm going to go and check my emails on another screen. I have several screens here, several computers here. It's a little bit insane. So just idly thinking while we're waiting for the aeroplane to get near top of descent, I've been wondering about doing some reviews of the cheaper jet fighters in Flight Simulator to help the people that are coming in with the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox. So going and getting some aeroplanes from the marketplace to give people a fair idea of what they're like and to fly them somewhat properly and to give some objective opinions of them. Obviously none of us are fighter pilots, but we can have a look and say, is it well put together? Does it behave as you might imagine the real thing should? And so on and so forth. You know, can you keep decent control of the aeroplane? Does it obey the laws of physics? Because not all of them do. So I was thinking maybe that, you know, the F-16, the F-15, things like that. There's a, I think there's a Rafale as well, isn't there? So I'm being asked, will this be an ILS landing or a manual landing? I'm probably gonna, it has got ILS on the runway, but I'm gonna fly it manually because I don't like using auto land. Yeah, just reading the live stream comments, I think there'll be some value for people who are looking, you know, maybe don't have much money to, so they're going to have to be very careful about what aeroplanes they choose to buy. So I'll go and buy a few of the cheaper aeroplanes and do like a group review of them, loading them up one after another. I had the F-16 in 2020 and it was awful. I've also seen the Tomcat before and it wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad either. This is I should say there's two Tomcats, isn't there? There's the heat blur one. There's also, which is decent. There's also the DC Designs one, which wasn't so decent. Now I always muddle them up. There's is it SC and DC? So one's Dean Crawford, isn't it? The other's Sean Cataneo, is it? I can never remember the names of the developers. Terrible. But they freely admit that their aircraft that they've developed are designed to be accessible. But yeah, we'll see. Actually, let's go, while we're doing this flight, let's go and we've got a few minutes until we get to top of descent. Let's go and pop open Gemini and ask it. Can we just collapse that up? Yep. So, what fighter jet aircraft are available in the MSFS 2024 marketplace? So Tomcat, the F-15, the F-16, Jaguar, the Hunter, Typhoon. Now there's two Typhoons now, aren't there? But I think only one of them is available and that's going to be the DC Designs one that's available. Or is it DC or SC? I can't ever remember. And then the Harrier. I've never played around with the Harrier. So there's also the Hawk, the Air Mackie, MB339. There's the Boom, of course, that comes with the simulator. It's okay. It's good fun to fly around. So yeah, I could have a look at the Hawk. Maybe I revisit some of them to show people what they're like. The Air Mackie is really good. Yeah, I'll do that as a bit of a feature, I guess. Because I'm guessing a lot of people are going to perhaps get PlayStations or Flight Simulator for Christmas. So it might be interesting to see what they think. So, top of descent is 20 miles away. Window, open window layout. Let's go back to default. What do we have? No, I haven't got Navigraph running. Let's go and load Navigraph and import so we can have a look at the charts. Import from SimBrief. So here we are. Zooming along towards Defun, and then we only have an approach, so there is no start. So ILS runway 17. Add to route. That's why there was that manual step. So we're flying out to Pensacola and then turning in. So we could have set that. So let's see if it's got it as an option. So if we can select this, ILS, Pensacola, yeah, there we go. Look. So that should give us the chart overlay, which there it is. So we want to go, let's go and program this now. 111.1 on the nav radios. And we want the course to be 169 degrees. So done. So when we obviously get down to altitude, we'll be able to sort that out. Let's see how this behaves then with VNAV. We're going to go and set our target altitude to, see, actually 10 miles out, 1,800 feet. That's bizarre, isn't it? So looking for you to be at 1,700 feet through Brent. 2.8. That's only 4.5 miles away from the runway. It's very odd, isn't it, to give such a... You'd think it would start the profile from out at Kylab, maybe. Anyway, so if we get to 5,000 feet at Pensacola, and then we'll drop the rest on the way in. So we're going to set our target altitude for 5,000. See, look, it's already going. And this is in VNAV descent. So we never put it into cruise mode, did we? Whoops. It won't have made a huge amount of difference, to be honest. Let's increase the range on the navigation display so we can see where we're going. There it is. It's a bit cluttered at the moment, but we'll zoom in when we get closer. And let's bring the heading bug around to the direction we're actually going. Makes a bit more sense now. CJ Simulations, that's who I was trying to think of earlier. Yeah, not SC, CJ. The Harrier isn't such a difficult aeroplane to fly. If you can fly a helicopter, you can fly a Harrier. And the modern Harriers even more so, because they've got electronic assistance to help you. The old model Harriers, different story. Okay, so while we're flying in, I'm going to clear out some more emails. Multitasking here. Yeah, so kind of reinforces what I was just saying. I've got a message from somebody. They've emailed me asking, have you got a cold and dark startup list for the DC Designs F15E on the Xbox? So I may go and buy one. Even though I don't have the Xbox, I can at least demonstrate how you start the airplane up. Or it depends what's simulated in the airplane, doesn't it? It's probably only going to need one page though on a simplified aeroplane to go through everything you need to do. F104, I've got several videos. I had that in 2020. I really miss it. The Starfighter is fantastic fun in the simulator. And I did a couple of videos doing the proper circuit, the military circuit pattern with it, following the book numbers. And yeah, it's a bit of a handful. Because it had blown flaps, didn't it? So some of the exhaust gas is routed over the wing root and down over the flaps. Yeah, it's no fun landing a starfighter at 180 knots or 200 knots. It's very, very particular about how you control it. Once you get used to it, it's fine. It's great fun to fly. So, navigation display is slowly closing in on us, so let's go and increase the range, or decrease the range even. Let's bring our heading bug around to the direction we're actually going. So we're down to 20,000 feet and descending. We are trusting in the autopilot at the moment. So if we increase the range again for a moment, we want to see where the green banana is. It's right on the line there. That's why we can't see it. It's just creeping in, look. And that's absolutely fine. So we asked this to come down to 5,000 feet, so we'll be turning towards the airfield at 5,000. Oh, I've gone the wrong way on the zoom, haven't I? There we go. We'll also need to decelerate along the way, remember. So I wonder if this will manage the deceleration. It's got 10,000 feet marked in here, look at inboard. Be interesting to see how it handles it. We could actually, to try some of the modes out, rather than letting VNav do everything, should we go and play with some of the speed modes? So if we go to... Yeah, we're low enough now, we're 16,000 feet. Let's go speed mode here. And let's pull it back to 250 knots. So the throttles have come back to idle. And we need to help it. So we're going to go vertical speed to go with this. So we're in vertical speed at 20, we'll go 2,500 feet a minute. What should we do? Let's have a look. 2,400. And then if we throw the spoilers out, that will bring the speed down. We can reduce the descent rate. That will help us as well. Obviously it will increase the distance, but we only need to be 5,000 by the time we get to the turn. But the game we're really playing here is to get the speed down to 250 knots by the time we get to 10,000 feet. So we're just playing with the modes here to see what we can do. See, it's on lower limit. And it's quite clever, it gives you some really good feedback. So the speed's gently dropping. Another way to have done it would have been to, look, the throttles are creeping forwards. Now we're reaching 250, so I can just take the spoilers away. Another way to do it would have just been to level out for a few seconds and bleed the speed off that way. So is it able to hold? It can't, look, it can't come down at 2,200 feet a minute and maintain 250. It's speeding up the whole time, which is why it's saying it here, look. You'd expect most airliners will glide at about 1,800 feet a minute. I'm just going to get it under 250 again. See, now it's achieved it. It's fine. And it's not been able to hold it, look. It's creeping above it and it's gone again. So let's just ride the speed brakes all the way in, and we've just pulled it back again, look. It's right on the borderline. We need to find out the local barometric pressure at the destination, which we should have done at 18,000 feet, but oh well. Weather, Pensacola, 30.29. So let's go and correct all the altimeters. Done. That one's done as well. Coming now to 10,000 feet, so landing lights go on. Let's bring the range down again. You can see the turn coming up. Let's get the speed back down to 200 now. And we'll throw the spoilers out to make it happen. Got 10 miles to bleed the speed off. Okay, this is the fun bit now. This is where I get to actually do some flying. So, oh, the Greek Mac loop I'm reading about in the live stream comments, I'd love to know where that is. So if we have a look from outside, we can see the airplane coming in with its spoilers out. Landing lights on the edge of the wings, look. So should we go and put the head tracking on? So what are the maximum flap speeds? Are they on a plate somewhere in the cockpit? There we go. So we can get for flaps already. And we're going to pull this in a bit further so we get a better idea of the range. We can turn the weather off because there isn't any. Got a warning over here, obviously, that we've got the speed brake out. That's fine. Oh, it didn't stop descending. Interesting. So we'll tell it to hold. Now, speed is saying 200. So speed's bleeding off, so the throttles should open up. Here they go, look. You can hear the whistle as they do it. So we're making the turn. That's interesting. Is there no... Maybe you need to arm the altitude, and I didn't. Yeah, I didn't press it, did I? I turned it, I didn't press it, so therefore it didn't capture. There's the runway. So as we get closer, we should pick up the glide slope. You can see the localizer is already showing up. So I'll let it fly along for a little while and then I'll take over. We don't get a head-up display in this, do we? No. Well, not in this particular model anyway. Should we disengage the autopilot now? And auto throttle off.
Landing gear.
That's funny. So if you pull the throttles all the way back, you get a landing gear warning. So you can see the glide slope has appeared. We're just about to go high on it. It's the little marker just here. This is the VNAV profile, by the way. Oh, sorry, the speed profile, I should say. Okay, let's take this in then, shall we? If anybody knows how to cancel the throttle warning, I'd love to know.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
I'm just pushing the throttles forward a little bit to stop that from making a noise. So let's go for... I'm just going to get the speed down a little bit more before we go for the gear. Have we got a maximum speed to drop the gear? Gear down 0.7. Oh, we can actually put the gear down a lot faster than I thought then. Must be made of sturdy stuff. Comfortable. So there's the glide slope. Someone said pull the fuse to stop the auto throttle light. That's funny. I always forget in this aeroplane the flaps have a colossal effect on lift. They are massive flaps though. If I show you outside, look. If I can get look how big they are. flying a bit high, so let's just fix that and go full flaps. Dropping down onto the glide slope. Speed is good. Keep an eye on the speed though, because we're going to need to bring the throttles back in a moment.
1,000.
Okay, stop trimming now and just fly the aeroplane instead of worrying about it. On the glide slope, we're on the localizer. We're losing speed though, so we're going to bring the power back in. To stabilize the speed, don't want to go much slower than about 130.
500. 400.
You get to see me soaring away at the yoke today, look.
300.
It's sinking, isn't it? That's interesting. Look at it sink. Just pulling it back up and giving it a bit more power. We're right on the borderline of it sinking like a stone. So yeah, you don't want to get too close to 130 knots. We're a little bit below the glide slope, but it's fine.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
So it floated a little bit, but it was easy to control. That's the nice thing about this aeroplane. It's kind of rewarding in that flying it by hand, it works really nicely. But you do need to get used to the speeds at which, so you saw, as I got to 130 knots, it started to drop. So you need to stay kind of 135 or more for it to remain a flying machine and not a plummeting machine. Okay, so these lights can go off. That goes back to steady. Oops. Oh, head tracking is a nightmare sometimes. You think, I'll just look across the cockpit and flick a switch, and you move by 1 pixel and you're all over the place. It seems strange. Normally I have say intentions on, but today I didn't because I wanted to be able to talk and not keep getting interrupted by it. And it's strangely empty in the world without it on. It does make an enormous difference. Oh look, there's a quasar over there again. I need to have a word. I said look the other evening, I need to have a word with Flying Fries about that. Look, they're everywhere. They need to tune that somehow. When are we going to find somewhere to park, are we? There was a space on the other side. Maybe there wasn't. Looks like we're parking. Oh, we could trample on the. Is that a? Looks like an oyster, but I know it's not, or a bird dog maybe. We're going to park right here. Okay, so I guess the easy way to turn this thing off would be to put the APU back on, but we'll just go to, we've got the batteries on, we'll just start turning things off. So that's all off anyway. So if we just come round the back of here, if the airplane will let me. Oh, you have to roll the mouse wheel on these. So I'll shut the engines down, and then we'll just start shutting things down. It's dramatic, isn't it? So obviously everything goes bananas when you do that. Fuel pumps off. This isn't the normal routine for doing this, by the way. This is the very shortcutted version. I should have done a lot of this first. That's off. They're fine. I'm just trying to think through what we switched on the way through the process. It should be fine, actually. Yeah, a lot of it's pretty straightforward, and then you just go and turn the power off and we're cold and dark. So the thing that interested me earlier before we took off is we were looking at aircraft services and we were looking at the stairs. It's working now, look. How weird is that? It wouldn't work at all for us, would it? We were providing power and it just wasn't reacting. I think there's a few little glitches in the airplane now and again. So that should unfold again. And it hasn't done. How weird. Should we open all the doors and see what happens? Or maybe we've just run out of power to do these things. It's not going to do it, is it? Let's have a look and see what these things look like when you connect them. Oh, they're not visible objects. That's a shame. That is, though. That's pretty cool. And the gear doors have opened underneath. Very good. Anyway, having now disassembled the aeroplane, out of curiosity. I think we'll leave it there, and I'll see you again soon. It's getting quite late here again. So we got there in the end. After some fun and games with the simulator, I think the biggest takeaway from this evening was the keyboard combination we covered earlier. What did we say it was called? We had it in Gemini, didn't we? So if we scroll back up, it was the back to flight option. So if you ever find yourself accidentally pressing Alt and space, let's do it now. Let's see what happens. I'm on the ground with the airplane cold and dark, yes? I'm going to go and reprogram it just before we switch off to show you it. This was the major takeaway this evening, the major thing we learned. Back to fly. So I'm going to say Alt and space, which is what we had it on. And then go back, save, and back. Are we ready? Alt and space. And we're flying, look, at speed. With everything open. So it's not foolproof, but it kind of worked. Anyway, that's our fun and games for the evening. So back to fly is a really good get out of jail card if you find yourself in a deep canyon without enough power to climb out. Just press, or make sure you've got something mapped to back to fly. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. See you again soon. Take care. Thank you ever so much for watching this evening. If you stuck with me through all of it, you deserve a medal. Take care.